Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much. The Department of Energy has determined that if even less than half of all of the LNG that's been approved by the Department of Energy to be exported gets exported, it could lead to a 50% increase in the price of natural gas for people in America. It's just supply and demand one-on-one. The less supply we have because we send it overseas, the higher the prices are going to go here. And of course, if you're an oil company or a natural gas company, you want to sell it. Mr. Slocum mentioned this. In Europe, it's 3 or 4 times higher the price you can get. In Asia, it might be 5 times higher the price you can get. So send it to China, they say. But the truth is that the less there is here, the higher the price is going to be for the utility industry. The higher the price is going to be for consumers. The higher the price is going to be for manufacturers here in the United States. We've created 700,000 new manufacturing jobs in the United States in the last 4 years. There's more on the way, but not if you increase by 50% the price of natural gas. That's the feedstock. And so, Mr. Slocum, can you talk about that and what the potential impact could be on the utility and manufacturing and consumer sector in America?
Absolutely, Senator Markey. There's no question that if you accelerate or ramp up the rate of exporting natural gas overseas, you are forcing U.S. consumers in the power sector, in the industrial sector, and in the household sector, and in the commercial small business sector to compete with foreign markets where the price of natural gas is significantly higher than it is in the United States. And so if you are in the oil and gas industry, you're going to, understandably so, prioritize infrastructure investment to move your fracked natural gas to LNG terminals for export rather than, say, investing in additional pipeline capacity to serve power plants in New England or elsewhere. And so that is why the Energy Information Administration concludes that if you significantly increase the rate of natural gas exports, it is absolutely going to raise domestic prices for American consumers.
Now, the more that we use the natural gas here in our manufacturing sector, the more likely that the products that are created with it will be made here and then will be exported rather than letting the natural gas get into the hands of the Europeans and the Chinese. Then they'll sell the finished product back to the United States. So what's that relationship between low-priced natural gas as a feedstock into the manufacturing sector of America and the wealth, the jobs that are created here?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the dynamic features of the U.S. economy are the value added and the role of technology in adding to that value. And simply exporting raw materials. I understand that fracking has been an unbelievable revolution of technology and industriousness by American ingenuity. But at the end of the day, you are simply exporting a raw material that there is robust demand for domestically to use as a feedstock or to use as a more environmentally and climate-friendly fuel in the power sector.
Mr. Slocum, so, you know, a lot of the advocates for exporting natural gas are exporting oil, even though we're not energy independent. We're talking about exporting oil, and we're not energy independent. We're still importing 5 million barrels of oil a day. How crazy is that, to export the oil we have when we're still importing 5 million barrels a day? They keep saying, well, it's like any other product. It would be like exporting a widget or a computer chip, that oil and natural gas should be the same. But we don't send young men and women over to the Middle East to protect the widget market or to protect the silicon chip market. We do it because we want oil to come in from the Middle East. Now, Mr. Slocum, if we just converted 7 million big trucks and buses over to natural gas vehicles, it would be the equivalent of all of the oil which we still import on a daily basis from the Persian Gulf. But if we increase the price by 50%, you know for sure that's not going to happen. So wouldn't that be a high objective that we should have, given the headlines above the fold in Iran and Iraq and all the other Middle Eastern countries on a daily basis.
Absolutely. There's no question, even with the record amounts of domestic production that the United States has had in crude oil, we are still vulnerable to international factors because oil, unlike natural gas, is priced due to global benchmarks and what's going on in the Middle East or China. And so as a result, it would be beneficial, I believe, for the U.S. economy, particularly in the transportation sector, to see an increased use of natural gas. It's got certain environmental benefits relative to petroleum products as a transportation fuel. And the bottom line is making sure that the transportation sector has access to affordable prices.
Massachusetts consumers right now are paying $2.76 a gallon for gasoline at the height of the summer driving, which is down 95% from last summer. 95% down. Now, what if we start exporting oil out of our country? What would that mean for consumers in Massachusetts in terms of an increase in the price of gasoline?
Well, I actually testified before the House Small Business Committee last month, specifically around oil exports. And again, there, the data is very clear that undoing this 1975 virtual ban on exporting crude oil will result in higher prices for American consumers.
So we finally get a surplus. We finally have oil and gas here domestically, and the first thought of the oil and gas industry is export it out of the country before our consumers, our manufacturers, our utilities get the benefit from it. Okay, it's just wrong. It's bad policy. It'll help our economy dramatically if we keep it here at a low price. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, could I just be recognized for 30 seconds?
Sure, 30
Thank
seconds.
you. And I could envision a situation where the negotiation between Iran and the United States and the other countries in the world goes sour. It's rejected in Congress. And one of the options is to bomb Iran and its nuclear programs. And I could then envision the price of oil going to $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon. And I could see American oil here and natural gas here protecting us against that we weren't exporting it. And as well, in terms of the economic studies, yes, there are some studies that say that there are winners and losers, but the winners are the oil and gas companies, and the losers are the manufacturers, the utilities, the consumers, and the natural gas vehicle industry. So maybe you can say that, whoa, well, look at the tremendous job creation over here for oil and gas, but look at all the losers that are left in their wake because the price of natural gas has gone up so much. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in, and I'll submit my questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.